Well, let's continue now with our special series on the Great Migration in the Maasai Mara. We have lots of interesting stories coming your way. And for all of that and more, we're now joined by CCTV's Uche Okoronkwo live from the Mara. Uche, another magnificent day in the Maasai Mara. Tell us a little bit about what's happening there now.
Well, thanks so much, Lindy. And literally minutes ago, we saw an amazing crossing taking place right here at this riverbank. Thousands of wildebeest and a few zebra made their way across the river. Now, of course, as you can see right now, not much going on, but you can see a few hippos sort of lounging there by the riverside. We've seen some crocodiles a little further up, no doubt lying in wait for the next batch of animals about to make that crossing. Now, earlier, we're a little confused because we saw the wildebeest coming from both directions, but as our driver told us, sometimes some of their colleagues come down to test and see how cool the water is for the animals who are about to make that larger crossing. But of course, quite an exciting thing to see, Lindy.
Now, we know, of course, that the Great Migration itself is perhaps the biggest attraction in the Maasai Mara this time of year, but it is an incredible space to be in. Just tell us what else, apart from the migration itself, that you've been lucky enough to see while in the Mara.
Well, we're actually on day 3 of our trip, and it's been quite interesting seeing the different wildlife. As you know, it's my first time to be here in the Maasai Mara. Now, one thing we did notice today is that the herds seem to be multiplying and growing as more and more of the animals make their way across the river. And we did see a lion and its cub taking advantage of the growing herds and dragging a recent kill into the bushes. We also saw a small family of elephants looking quite irritated with a growing number of herds and animal around them. So it's been quite exciting. A few minutes ago, this whole place was lined with tourists, vans packed with tourists who've all come to see this amazing migration. But earlier on, my colleague Soni Methu caught this dramatic scenery of predator versus prey. Take a look.
The struggle for survival. 4 cheetahs, 1 gazelle. They've been stalking the buck for 20 minutes. Tourists block the cat's line of sight. Suddenly, one female takes the gap. And they get their prey. Stunningly powerful. It's that time of the year again. No matter how many times I come here, the magic of the migration never fades. But this time, we're also seeing it through new eyes.
This is actually my first time in the Mara, and it's amazing. It's really amazing seeing all the thousands of animals moving and making their way into the Mara, looking at all the other predators also as well, trying to make their kill and, get a meal for themselves. It's amazing.
The journey takes place on a landscape of golden plains and twisted trees. But it's here on the banks of the Mara River where the real drama plays out. As we travel with the herds, we may see thousands try and cross here. Lying in wait for them, the crocodiles of the Mara, some of the biggest in the world. No crossing here today though. Besides, the crocs already have a substantial meal. On our side of the river, the wildebeest move further into the Mara. Inevitably, some are left behind. This one's still alive, but not for long. The vultures and other scavengers will leave nothing but bone behind. Soni Methu for CCTV in the Maasai Mara, Kenya.
Well, from that report there by Soni Methu, it certainly seems like something like an all-you-can-eat feast for crocodiles and other predators. Uche, just tell us exactly what this Maasai Mara ecosystem is all about and how it all comes together.
Well, Lindy, if you look at the map, you notice the red part is actually the reserve where we are right now, and it's the smallest part of the ecosystem. The yellow part of the map, on the other hand, is made up of conservancies and ranches as well, where they house cattle, people, and some wildlife. They all coexist on the yellow part. It's quite vast, but it's also a codependency that works, despite, of course, some instances of human-animal conflict. But besides that, like I said earlier, it seems to be a codependency that works.
And of course, this, the Great Migration itself, but indeed the Maasai Mara as a destination is one of Kenya's most important tourist spaces. We know that you're a first-time visitor. What's your first impression of the Mara?
Well, I was quite amazed. I mean, coming from West Africa, where we don't have very many of these wildlife parks that are thriving, such as this place. One of the first things I did notice was the organization. Of course, the government has taken quite care in fencing it out and making sure tourists don't pass their boundaries. But one thing we did notice here is the impact that tourism has had on the community as a whole. It doesn't seem to have had much of an impact. It looks like the roads are still terrible, not much development when you go further into the communities in the area. But they do depend on the tourism that comes from the Maasai Mara.
Well, of course, insecurity issues in East Africa have led to a bit of a dip in tourism. What are you seeing there as far as visitor numbers are concerned? And speaking to some foreign visitors, what are they saying about this experience at the Maasai Mara?
Well, obviously, everyone's quite excited. There are two peak times in the year for this migration. So quite a number of British, American, European tourists are here, quite excited to see also the culture that comes in the Maasai Mara. But we do notice a growing number of Chinese tourists coming into the Maasai Mara. One thing my driver mentioned to me earlier, that he did see from about 2009, there seems to be a larger number of Chinese showing interest in wildlife here in Kenya. And I spoke to him earlier about where tourists come in when they're coming into the Maasai Mara and certainly who they are. Take a look.
The major way of tourists coming here is by road. Yeah, but now things are changing because the roads are bad. The other forms, you go to Wirison, that's where you can catch the aircrafts, which mostly lands at Kikrok or Lake Kiombo or Mara River Lodge. There we have another strip there. So we have 3 airstrips to Mara. Yeah, locals are coming in good numbers, mostly in April, Easter holidays, and December holiday. So that's when we have local coming to the back. Since 2009, I've seen Chinese coming more than from US, from Britain. So most of the time, like now, we have many Chinese tourists coming than from other countries.
Well, thanks very much to Uche for those latest reports from the Maasai Mara.